Hi everyone. So last class we started the OOPS concept and we discussed about how to write a skeleton structure of the class, how to write a skeleton structure of the method, and we discussed about the variables, which is a class variables, right? And also we discussed about the access modifier, correct? So yesterday we have written one Apex class which has a variable method 1 and method 2, and there is a inner class, right? So yesterday we declared it as public, okay, integer. These are the class variables. These are class variables. How to declare variable? Class variables can be used. Access modifier cannot be used. Access modifier, it's not mandatory that variable always go ahead with the access modifier. In case if it doesn't use the access modifier, by default it will take it as a private. By default it will consider as a private. Okay, so these are the class variables. Now what is instance variable? So there are three types of variables that we have seen yesterday. One is class variable. Okay. Second one is local variable. And third one is instance variable. So before we jump onto the instance variable, let's understand what is local variable. Local variable is nothing but which is also called as a local variable is nothing but which is also called method variable. We can also call them as a method variable. Method variable. So variable that declared inside a method. A variable that declared inside a method and accessible only to that method is called local variable. Local variable also we can say that method variable. When we say method variable or local variable is nothing but a variable that is declared inside the method and accessible only to that particular method. Accessible only to that particular method is called local variable. Whereas class variables are variable declared at the class level and access throughout the program is called class variable. Class variables are accessed throughout the program, whereas local variables are accessed only to that particular method. Let's see one example for the local. So right now we have declared here, which is nothing but a class variable, So inside this class variable, like we have declared it class variable. Now inside the method, we will declare a local variable. So how to declare a local variable? We can say integer AR. This is nothing but a local variable. Local or method variable. Okay. Now here I have a class variable with the name of A, right? Now if I declare it again local variable with the same name, what will happen? Does it accept it or not?
It accepts it, but we can use inside that method only. It becomes local to that method.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. The question was, will the same will y gets accepted with this method or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Since it is local to that method, it will accept that. When we declare inside the method, it becomes local to that. So
Okay. So let's say that above I have an integer y equal to 10. Now I'll declare it 20. Now let me save this. It's saved, it allowed. Now let me go back to the, here I'll print the y value before the R system dot debug. Now here I have here local class variable is 10 and local variable is 20. Now which, while calculating it, which value does it take? Does it take a class variable? Does it take a local variable? Which one it will take?
it will take the local variable, I guess.
Okay. Now Control S, debug. So we are doing the calculate area. Let me go ahead and execute it, highlight this. Which one it took? It took the local variable because it will override the class variable. In case if you have a same variable declared within the local variable and class variable, local variable is always comes as a priority to that particular method. Now coming to the instance variable. What is the instance variable? Instance variables are a variable declared in method, executed, method executed when initialization occurs. When initialization occurs is called instance variable. Instance variable is nothing but variable declared in method executed. When the method is executed, during that time, we can initialize the instance variable. What is that means? When I say instance variable is always sits here, which is a parameters. Instance variables are parameter. Let's take, for example, integer. I'll pass the parameter integer L, comma, integer B. What is this? This is basically instance variables. These are instance variables. In programmatically, what we say is parameters. In real time, we say parameters. So, but these are instance variables. Instance variables are declared in method executed when initialization occurs. Right? So those are the three variables: class variable, local variable, and instance variable. And
Madam, I have a question. What's the difference between this instance variable and local variable, madam?
what is the definition of instance variable?
You said method level instance variable is for initializing. You said initializing a method.
Can I declare instance variable here inside the method? Can I declare an instance variable inside the method?
That will consider as a local then.
Then what is the difference now?
That you are a method for method you are writing. Means there are two things are coming, so it's giving kind of confusion. No, madam. Method in method also, like inside one variable it is coming, and along with method one variable is coming. So
I did not get your question. What is the question?
no, I ask like what is the difference between local variable and instance variable? I ask.
Local variable is which you declare inside the method once you start it, but instance method is while you are executing your method, you will pass instance variables from the outside. You will pass the instance variable from the outside. This cannot be declared. Instance variables cannot be declared inside this. Once you declare it, it will be called as a local variable. So local variables are only when the method starts executing it. But while initialization of method, we can declare it as an instance variable. So these instance variables are passed from the external methods, whereas local methods are initialized within the method.
And like this instance variable, where we get used then this one while executing the method only.
How do you call the method?
Method for calling method we write like class, and then we just go with one.
Okay. So if you have any parameters, how do you do this?
That I don't have idea, madam.
Inside
Parameter
the
like
calculate area method, inside the brackets, we put
So
the
you
value.
have to pass it here.
okay.
So basically, so whenever instance variables are there, instance variables are passed by the external methods. So that means whatever is expected by this method. While executing this method, these two parameters are executed. Without passing these two parameters, you cannot execute the method. If you try to execute this without passing the parameters, it will throw an error saying that this method does not exist. Calculate area method does not exist or incorrect signature. But you have a method. But what is this method? Here you are passing the method without any parameters, but your method is here inside the method is expecting the two parameters. So if you wanted to execute this method, first check what are the parameters that are expected by the method. So here in this scenario, there are two instance variables are there. That means two parameters are there. So while executing the method, we have to mention the two parameters. So if I try to execute this, then it will execute it.
If we give instance method, then only it will be an issue. Otherwise, if we don't give instance method, then while executing method, is there any problem we get?
First of all, why do you need this? First tell me, why do you forget about instance variable? Why you need these parameters?
That like see already it is what it is confusing is already inside the method we are giving the variables, and that variables also get executed when method is executing. So apart from that, why we are going for another variables? I am not getting this point.
Okay, can anybody answer?
Madam, can I answer?
Yeah.
So the difference between this one instance variable and the local variable. So when you do you know idea of constructor?
Constructor, yes, I know.
Can you tell me the difference between constructor and methods?
Constructor, like what we do is like whenever we write a method with a class name is nothing but constructor.
Huh?
We write a method
Second?
class name. We take it while writing method. We take the class name.
Means class name and constructor name should be same here. I think that's the mean you are telling, right?
Yes, yes,
Huh?
yes.
Okay. So
That
here,
is constructor.
if when you are calling, here method name is calculate area. Suppose you have two types of method, without parameter, with parameter. So whenever you are calling from the method in the main class, so if you are using the method in the method definition, method name with parameter. Also, you have one more method. See, create account. One more method is there. Method 2. Observe here, there is no parameter. So here, when you are calling, in case if you are passing the when you are calling create account method, if you passed by mistake any instance variable during calling, so it will throw an error like mismatching the parameter. Means without parameter you are using, but you are during while calling you are passing a value, means that is also displaying error. Right? You are asking the difference between the instance variable and local variable. Local variable is scope of the local value limited to the particular block. But here, when you're calling the method, you should specify if you're using parameter like integer L and integer B you're using, right? So here you are getting confused, but because you don't have a clear idea about how you're calling the method with the parameter, without parameter. So that's why you are getting confused with the local variables and this one parameter, instance variable.
Okay, what I have
Did you
like
clear?
understood from you is like you are saying that if we are writing instance variable are helpful for calling the method in a easy way. Is that you want to say?
No. So
That
you
will be helpful for
not like
calling a
that, sir.
method.
Not helpful. You should. That is the syntax. That's the thing you have to follow. That a good practice for programming means when you're writing the program, lengthy program, we should follow some solid principles. I have gone through solid principles.
Okay, okay.
So you just attend the classes. This is the beginning of the coding thing, Pradas. Just go through one or two classes, you will get to clear. Actual difference when you are using the real-time program. If you write 5, 6 programs, then you will come to know what is the actual difference between instance variables and local variables.
Okay.
Thank you, madam. Giving permission.
Okay. So let's assume that I have a scenario here, integer result. Okay, integer result equal to L star B. Now I have this scenario. I do not have an instance variable. Okay, I do not have an instance variable. Assume that this is logic also not there. Okay, I do not wanted to declare a local variable here. I do not wanted to declare a local variable. Now what will happen? It will allow me to save this because whatever L and B are there, which is coming from the outside of this method. Outside of this method. Now what I'll say is integer L, comma, integer B. Let's save this. So what happened? As soon as I declared the instance variables here, it allowed me to save the information. Because before this, what it was saying me is, okay, you are doing some business logic here. Okay, whatever the data is there, it is asking me that is this variable information, variable values are passed from any other external or any other method to this method, or do you have these variables declared inside the method, which is a local variable? So I'll say that no, these are not local variables, because I need these variables from the outside of this method. So then what I'll do is I'll try to give in instance variable, because when I say instance variable and if I call this calculate area from here, if I call calculate area from here and I'll pass 20, 30. So what will happen while executing the create account? While executing the create account, it will call the calculate area. And while calling the calculate area, the first thing is that it will check, does it have any parameters? Does it have any parameters? Now you can declare a method with parameter, without parameters. When I say with parameter, without parameters is nothing but you can declare another method without a parameter with the same name of the method is possible. With same name of the method, which is possible. Because Salesforce thinks that, let me save this.
There is a method overloading you are telling.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
same method you are using more than one time.
Yes. So, but to understand this particular problem, I'm giving this, but that method overloading comes later point. Guys, if there are any questions regarding the why can we declare it with the same method name, why it is accepting it, how can I declare it, how the system will know, will come to later point. But the now point is on the instance variable. For example, right now I have two methods. Okay. So when I have a two methods, if you try to simply without parameter, system will think that you are calling this method, right? Because you are not passing any parameters. You are not passing any parameters. But in case if you want to execute this particular method, then you have to pass the parameter which 20, 30, right? So that time it will go and check what is the variables that we have. So instance variables are which are expected. The values are expected from the outside of method. Local variables are expected the variable values inside the method. Instance values are expected from outside of the method. Variable values are expected from outside of method. And the local variables are variable values. Variable values are expected within the method is called local variable. Now, when I say local variable, can I use the access modifier for the local variables also? Public integer. Does it possible or not? It will not. Local variables does not accept the access modifier. It does not accept the access modifier. Again, I'll try to save. Public integer result equal to L and B. So what I'm doing here, I'm declaring the variable, but I'm using the access modifier. Where I'm using the access modifier, I'm using it for the local variable. This is local or method level. Local or method level variable. Local or method level variable. So local variables cannot be used with any access modifier. You cannot say public integer result. It will give an error. But whereas class variables can have a modifiers, can have a access modifiers. Right? So now here we are printing the result. Let's go ahead and see. Now, for example, if I have a different method, let's assume that I'll create another method which is called as calculate area to, which is a copy of this. Now, what is this? I have two different methods. I have two different methods, but two methods are having the same parameters. It is possible. It is possible that there are two methods which are different name of the methods, but these two methods are having the same parameters, which is possible. We can do that. So what is this? Calculate area, and then we have a calculate area to. I'll give here 10. 10. Now let's go ahead and execute it. Calculate area to. What is the problem here? I did not save it. Okay, let's go ahead and execute. Now, first one is coming as 600 and second one is coming as 100, right? So it is possible, can multiple methods can have the same parameters or different parameters? Right? Did we complete the assignment, Venkatesh? Venkatesh.
For admin level, I completed 2 assignments, ma'am.
How about others?
And completed the trial head.
Okay, so let's go ahead and create another example, which is a class name CL underscore. Today's date is 0109. And then we have written the greater of 3 numbers, right? So on the where we have written on the anonymous window. Same thing we are going to implement it here. Now let's go ahead and see public void. I'll give a method name as calc. Now I have 3 parameters. That means I'm going to declare 3 instance variables here. Integer num1 and integer num2 and integer num3. So 3 parameters are expected for while executing this method. Now what is the condition that we have here? I wanted to find out the greater of 3 numbers. So if num1 greater than num2 and num1 greater than num3, system.debug, let's say the greater number is. Are we going to implement a single condition or multiple condition here? Single condition or multiple condition?
Multiple.
Okay. So it has to be multiple condition. Why it has to be multiple condition?
You have to check all the possibilities.
Right. So num2 we are going to check right now. Now here we are going to print the num2 value because we are going to check num2 is greater than num1 and num3. Now another else.
The method parameters, what are the data types am I pass, ma'am, inside?
What is this data type?
In the primitive data type.
Yeah. So you can pass the primitive, you can pass the S object, you can pass the collection. What are the different data types we have?
Collection, primitive, S objects, enum.
Enum, as I said, it's not used in the real time.
The collection level, am I use like a set, list, map? These three things, these three data types, am I use inside the parameters, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So now let's assume that I have here small and here I have a capital. Okay. Let's see whether it will work or not. I'm using all small letters in the parameter. I have declared my parameters or instance variable in small letter. All are small letter, but when it comes to the comparison, I'll say this is the capital letter here. These are capital letter. First one, only num1 is a small, and second one, num2 and num1 is a small. Let me print here num2. So what will happen? Let's go ahead and see. In order to execute this particular method, how can I declare it? First of all, whether it is a static method or non-static method.
Non-static method.
Okay, how can we declare it?
So initialize it first.
Okay, new class equal to
class name. In the class, new class dot CLAC method name.
okay. Now I'm going to pass. Let's see. Num1 is the highest. Okay. And then 90. There I'll say 60. Which value should it print?
90.
90 it should print. Execute. So what is happening right now is it taking the, whether it is a capital or small, does it comparing or not?
No.
Why it is not comparing? Now, what is the value that I have given right now? 180 I have given, right? And num2 is 90 and this is a 60. Right? In case if it finds it's not able to identify the capital N UM, small letters UM, it is not able to identify, then it definitely throws an error. That means Apex is not a case sensitive. Okay, but do not use this kind of a coding. Do not use this kind of a coding. This is not the right coding. If you are declaring in the small letter, use the small letter. Sometimes what we see is, this is fine because I have written 20 lines of code is a perfectly all good. And this is just for testing purpose we are doing it. But in the real time, when we have a more than 20 lines of code or 100 lines of code, if you have declared it small NUM, okay, and somewhere you are comparing business logic everywhere, you are taking it as a capital N and small um. And when you wanted to try where it is declaring it, you will not be able to find it. When you search, for example, you wanted to search this where it is initialized, you will not be able to find it, and it takes a lot of developer time wastage here. So do not use, if you are declaring the whatever the camel format or whatever the smaller capital, whatever the format you are initializing the variable, please take the same thing. Because when you when you go for the 70th line, or when you go for the long programming, and if you try to find out where exactly I'm using it, it is very hard to identify where the initialization is happening. Now, if I say this, I wanted to find out where it is there. Now it is going to give me the all references. Okay, now I can understand it is not initialized. It is coming from somewhere outside. Now I'll look for who is calling this method. Who is calling this method? So it is always very important, whatever the format you initialize it, use the same format. Clear? If you have a capital, use a capital. But as per the coding standards, as per the Apex coding, we always have to start the declaring the variable with small letter, declaring the variable method with the variable or method with the small letters. Then you can go with a capital. Right. Now here the problem is, I'm checking the greater one of the greater number. Let's assume that I'll give same values. Num1 and num2 are having the same values. So which one it is going to give me the information? What is the output? Am I going to get it? What is the output? Am I going to get it?
Same 180 only.
Okay, let's go ahead and see.
I think 60, because the first two conditions are not satisfied. So.
Somebody else was saying something. Okay, let's go ahead and see. What is the output?
60. That is because of confusion it took so.
No, the conditions were not satisfied. We didn't have equal to, so it didn't check for the equal. So it gave the else condition, else output.
Okay.
Okay. But in case if I write here, else if I'll say num3 is greater than num1 and I'll say num3 is greater than num1. So now which one it is going to give me? Sorry, num2. Now which one it is going to give me? What is the output? Will I get it? What is the output? Will I get it?
In this case also, I should you get 60 only, then
Others?
Not sure, ma'am.
60 only you should get. The reason is again same, like two variables are like same and values are same, and other part is that is not going to execute then. The condition is not fulfilling. Right?
So 60. Raj is saying 60. Okay. Others?
Others are not sure, madam.
Others?
They are not sure.
It will not show any output, I guess, or it will throw error.
Okay. So let's go ahead and execute it. Debug.
Because we didn't specify any default.
Right. So we'll not get any output.
Okay.
Why,
Amala? Can we explain it?
Yeah, because the three conditions were not satisfied and we have not specified the default case also.
So it's expecting
So,
else condition.
yeah, it's expecting else condition. So since it was not there, it came out of the loop. So it didn't execute.
Okay, okay.
So let's go ahead with the new class. So what we are going to do in the new class is getting the sum of even numbers. So we'll try to find sum of even numbers. 0, 1, 0, 9. Let's say sum of even numbers. Now here, this is the class name. And what I'll do is, I'll not give the access modifier. If I'll not give the access modifier, what will happen? I'll just start writing the void even. This is my method name, even method. Okay. I'll take the parameter as integer n. Now inside this, I'll declare integer count equal to 0. And then I have an integer result equal to 0. Now, while I'm using the while condition here, n is given number. I'm going to pass it from the outside. N less than count. Till I reach. That means as soon as I reach the count, which is similar to the n. For example, from the outside, if I give n as a 20. So what will happen? Initially, my count is 0. Till my count reaches to the up to 19. Right? Up to 19. It is going to do it. As soon as it reaches more than 20, then it will fail. So let's go ahead and see r equal to r plus count. Equal to result plus count. And if I want the even number, What is the calculation that I need to do? Initial
Count
value
+2.
is, sorry,
Plus
Count +2.
+2. Now, once I am done with the while conditions, what I'll do is I'll print the system.debug. I'll say the sum of even numbers up to the given number. And here the result. Okay. Now without access modifier, will it be able to allow me to execute the method? First of all, if I do not give the access modifier, will it think as a public or private?
Private.
Private. How about others?
private.
Private. So let's go ahead and see if it is a private. Can I call it from here?
We can't follow.
Okay, I'm calling this particular method and passing the 20.
And here that is not a static method, right?
Which one is a static method? Yes, it is not a static method. So we have to initialize it. Even numbers equal to new class name and then even numbers dot method name. Now let's go ahead and execute it. Is it going to save me? Let's say
No,
What is
it
saying
didn't
that?
save.
Method is not visible, but I'm passing the correct parameter. I'm calling the correct method, and this class name is also correct. That means private methods cannot be called from the another Apex class within the organization. But if you have another method here, if you have another method public void even method 2, I'll not have any parameters here, then I'll call the event method and then I'll pass the 20. Will it work? Can I call it from the same class?
Yes, ma'am.
It is possible. Private methods can be called within the class, but I cannot call from any other class within the organization. Right? So if I give right now, if I call this particular method from the developer console, if I give 20, what is the output that I'm going to get it? If I try to execute this class, what is the output that I'll get it? Sum of the even numbers. I'll pass 20 here. What is the output? Will I get it?
90.
90.
Yeah.
Okay. Others? What is the output? Are we going to get it?
I think the condition, while condition should be n greater than count, right?
That's what, nobody is saying that. That's what I'm asking. What is the output? I'm going to get it. So what is the output? I'm going to get it here.
80.
Let's go ahead and execute it. Let's see. What is happening? Condition is not matching, right? The condition is not matching here. How it will come, 80 or 90? Because we are saying it, count has to be greater. Okay, count has to be, that means given number has to be less than count. How it is possible? If not even go inside. Because my starting count is 0 and I'm giving the 20 less than 0. The condition never satisfied. It will not go inside of this. The condition has to be the other way. Now let's go ahead and see. Debug, execute. What is the output right now? 90. Clear? 90 is the output. Whoever is said 80, why you think 80?
I'm gonna print the even numbers once.
Print the even numbers. Yes, I'll do that. Just give me a second. Whoever is thought 80, what was the reason to think of 80 there? It's a simple, straightforward calculation. Now, if you open your Excel, if you have Excel, open the Excel. If you open the Excel, 0, all the even numbers, 2, 4, 6, right? Now, if I give it up to 20. Now it will take only 18. It will not take 20 because we have not given equal to, we have given less than. So it will take up to 18. So up to 18, what is the sum? Sum is 90. Now let's go ahead and see what is the count, what is the even numbers that are coming here. So we'll print first count system dot debug. Let's say this is count. Count before calculation. Okay, and also I'll print the result. Result before calculation. Now here, after the calculation, and the count is after the calculation. Now Control S. Now let's go ahead and debug. Let's click on a debug only. Initially everything is 0. Count is increased to 2. Only count is increased to 2. Initially result is also 0. After the calculation also we will see the 0. Count increased, right? So result before the calculation is 0. Okay, so first count before the calculation 0, result before the calculation is 0. After the calculation of result is 0 because I have a 0 plus 0 which is 0 and count is increased here. Now count before the calculation is 2. Result before the calculation is 2. 0 plus 2, 2. Now the result became 2 and count increased to plus 2, 4. Now count before the calculation became onto the next round. Now count is 4. The result is 2. 4 plus 2, 6. So result is set to 6 and count is increased from 4 plus 2, 6. Now one loop is done. Now we came to the another loop. In another loop count became 6 because before it is set as a 6. 6 plus 6, 2. 12. So it became a 12 and the count is increased 6 plus 2, 8. Now another loop is done. Clear? Or do I need to explain it? Is there any confusion on this? Okay, let
No,
me
ma'am.
ask this way. Okay. This is one loop, right? And another loop is, this is another loop. And this is another loop. And this is another loop. And this is another loop. Right? So here we have a last loop. And this is the first loop. Before I come out of the first loop, what was the value that I have a count? Count is 2, right? Before I come out of the loop, count is 2. Before I come out of the loop, count is 2. So that means the next loop count is, it will take it as a 2. And result is, previous result is 0 because there is nothing is there here. So that's the reason it will be 0. Now result became 2 because 0 plus 2, 2. Now for previous 2 it is there. Then again one more plus 2 added. So it will become a 4. So next time when I'll come, my count became 4. And previously my result is set to the 2. So that's the reason we have a 2 here. And 2 plus 4, 6. Right? So count became 6 right now. 4. Before it was having a 4. And 4 plus 2, 6. Anybody has any confusion on this?
Oh, clear, ma'am.
So in case if you say that here, let's assume that, okay. Now we have seen the even and assume that there is odd also there, okay. Now I wanted to calculate, like we are calling right now event method from here. Event method from here. Assume that I have a odd method also. Assume that I have a odd method. So there is a odd method here. I'll just say void odd method and integer n. Okay, there is no business logic there. So, and I'll give this as a main method. Main method. So inside this, whenever I'm calling the main method, I would like to know from the main method itself, whether it is an integer or whether it is a even or odd. So that means I needed two values. One is the given number and the second one is string. So these two values I need to know, because from the main method, whoever is calling the main method, they should say that this is a even or this is a odd. I'm giving the 20 to get the odd numbers, or I'm giving the 20 to get the even numbers. So that means they have to tell me the number as well as they have to tell me the type of execution, whether odd or even. So what I'll do is here, I'll add in if condition. If y equal to even. Okay, then I'll go ahead and execute the even method. And how can I pass the parameter? Parameter is passed here. So I have a x which is coming from main method. So I'll take that. Else, if I'll check y equal to whether y is odd, if it is a odd, then execute the odd method. Then execute the odd method. Odd method is expecting the parameters. Odd method is expecting the parameters which is coming from main method. Perfect. Now I'll say same thing here. Let me save this. And in the if conditions, you have to always give the double equal to. That is the expression. Debug, then I'll execute the main method. While executing the main method, what I'll say is 20, and I'll say even. I have to pass it here. While calling the main method, I have to pass. One is integer parameter, another one is a string parameters. Right now, I'll try to execute it. What is the value that I'm going to get it?
Even method 90.
90, we are going to get it. But in case if I say odd,
But there will be no value.
no value, so we will not get any output. So that is the assignment. Assignment is implement Apex class to calculate odd method, odd numbers based on the given number. Implement Apex class to calculate student marks. So here, how do you implement a student marks? So you need to have two parameters inside the method. One is a student name. And then you have a list of integer. You have a list of integer, two parameters which is required. implement Apex class total number of amount based on the key. So in this class, you take it 3 parameters. One is the key. If key is a variable, key is greater than 100. Okay, then you have to calculate. First of all, you need to expect the 3 parameters. One is key, amount 1, amount 2, amount 3. If key is greater than 100, then calculate all amount 1 plus amount 2 plus amount 3. Okay, in case if I do not pass amount 2, amount 3, it should handle. For example, if I pass inside while calling the parameter, I'll pass the key as 200, amount as some 800, then I'll not pass this information. It will be null. So this should handle the condition. In case if key is less than 50, then only amount 1 plus amount 3. Otherwise, amount 1. Null condition also should be accepted here. Implement Apex class to convert string to convert integer to string. Okay, try this. If you are not able to do it, we can do it tomorrow. So that means your parameter, expected parameter is integer. Okay, and inside the class, inside the method, you have to take that integer, convert into the string. Convert to the string. Fine. Okay, so those are the assignments. Any questions before I move on to the admin?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So let's move on to the admin.